See, because when we first see that with the Cape Buffalo in there, it is literally a featureless, dark character with these red eyes moving through there, and it's like, wow, what is this? This is amazing. And
but it's also probably people like thinking that's what they saw. Like if you think about it,
for sure,
it has to be like Will o' the Wisp, where those come from, like Foxfire, all that stuff.
Yeah,
that's maybe this is a type of that.
Hey, Gretchen.
Hey, Martin.
Thanks for being back here.
Yeah.
And thanks all of you for being back here. This is the Check the Gate podcast where Gretchen and I watch movies and then we talk about them and we never know where the discussion is going to lead to. And this episode, we are diving into the art world filmmaking. This is an interesting one. This is called Uncle Boon Me, Who Recalls His Past Lives. This one was definitely an art house film. Mm-hmm. It was a Cannes favorite years ago.
Yeah, what, 2010?
2010. Yeah. I chose this because I am a huge Tilda Swinton fan. If I were to have a top 5 actors, Tilda Swinton would be one of them.
Oh.
And in an interview, Tilda Swinton was talking about how she loved this film and she loved it so much. And then the director turned out was a fan of hers. So they ended up making a film together. But this was the one, she just really loved it. And I was like, okay, I'm going to offer this one up because I had never seen it before. I'd seen it before. Bits of it.
However, with the caveat that every single time I watched this film, it had a mesmerizing quality that made me fall asleep. So I had watched it in fragments because I have there's a very image, like a very prominent image that is when people see this film or like show this film, like trailers of it, whatnot, mm-hmm. of this black figure with red glowing eyes in a jungle background, and that's like stands out in my mind. It's like burned into my brain. But yeah, I always fell asleep. This movie and Mel Gibson's Hamlet does that to me. I don't know why. Oh, and Inception. Those 3 movies.
Oh,
I'm like,
wow.
if I need to take a nap, I'll just put one of those 3 on. So bad. It's not even that I don't like these films. Don't get me wrong. I do. They just have they cast this spell of sleep on me.
They have this quality about them. Yeah. Well, we'll get into some of the nap-inducing qualities of this film. I do want to mention the director's name.
Oh boy.
And I apologize. So this is a Thai film. It is directed and written by a director from Thailand. So I'm going to say their name here. I'm probably just going to refer to him as director after this because I feel bad about it, but I would butcher this name. Apit Akpong Weerasethangkul. So it's a difficult one. I will refer to as director from now on so that I don't make a mess of that each time.
Well, it probably even pronounces very like softly too, as we kind of discover in the movie, like how Thai is spoken is really like it's kind of a very like willowy
mm-hmm.
language.
Absolutely. And it's interesting. There are several interesting names as we also go. Because we have Uncle Boon Me, mm-hmm. but then we are introduced to later one of his son, which is Boon Song. Mm-hmm. And then we have his sister-in-law, Jen. Mm. And then we have his other son who is alive, Tong, mm-hmm. who are characters in there. We have the wife who's passed away, Hue. So, yeah, I guess we can kind of set up a little bit of the premise. I know that we're gonna talk about all sorts of things. We're probably gonna end up talking about a lot of art house film in here, mm-hmm. a lot of kind of budget things, talking about how people make ethereal, existential films in their own artistic ways. It's a bit of a tough film to talk about. This was definitely a grand experiment for me and the show.
Well, as far as like linear storytelling, there's none of that.
Absolutely correct.
Because we're right off the bat. I think you get really hopeful at the very beginning because it has this beautiful like scenery, like we're seeing like this jungle scene and this gorgeous like narration over the beginning where he kind of talks about like how he saw a light and how he saw a darkness, mm-hmm. and like the journey of human strength and spirit, and it's this kind of strange, like very like provocative, I guess. Not really provocative, that's not really the word, but just an interesting, he just has a really interesting narration at the very beginning, which isn't actually Boon Me. I read that it was a different voice actor who did the narration.
Right, yeah.
Which I was like, oh, I thought it was. So we're actually not even being narrated by any of the characters in the stories. Like, is this like a Greek chorus?
Yeah. It's, I don't know who the narrator is, since it is a different person who they are as a character within the story.
They're not in the story.
They're not in the story.
No.
But it's, it has this contemplative, existential reality to it, and it very much feels like a voice of someone looking back across their life.
Yes.
And kind of setting the stage for us there. But it's an interesting film. Any finished film is an accomplishment. It just is. It's so
funny.
Difficult.
You have made the film.
Yeah. Because it's very, very
hard.
difficult.
It's hard.
It's tough.
And this is being shot in Thailand, and
Right.
it's really warm there, and really like humid. I mean, everybody who lives there is like okay with it, but like it is warm in the jungle.
I have never been to Thailand. It's on the bucket list for me. So hopefully someday. Yeah, I can't imagine it's a very easy place to shoot from. And we do actually, we spend most of our time in this little village near a tamarind farm. And we even start out, one of the first images is of a villager who is out with their Cape buffalo that escapes before we're introduced to one of the little forest monkey men, which is what they are. Yeah, this film is going to interweave mythology of forest beings, and it's going to talk about existentialism. It's going to bring past lives into it. It's going to bring current relationships into light, and as our one character is kind of, I guess, analyzing their final days of death, and like a very purposeful, like all the way down to the location of how our person dies.
Well, I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on Thai culture or mythology or anything like that. I'm going to caveat that. I feel like I'm constantly caveating myself, but like, I am not an expert on Thai culture. However, there are some things I do know, like about Buddhism, and Thai Buddhism specifically is intrinsically tied into animism, which is their kind of parent belief system before Buddhism was introduced to the Thai people. And that has some deep seated like mythos with like people having their souls entwined with animals, and like the goblins and things like that are all like aspects. They're all nature and animal like qualities to them. For instance, I think the very beginning when we get introduced to like the story, the beginning of the story where there's a water buffalo that's kind of got untied, and then like one of the villagers is going after it. Like that water buffalo is has a. I feel like they were trying to kind of convey this as a past life. I'm starting to realize now all these weird scenes that we'll go into later might actually be like where he's talking about recalling past lives.
I started to wonder too, because what we learn through all of this is we have our central character, Uncle Boon Me. He has one son that is alive. He has one son that has disappeared, who we get reintroduced to. He also has his sister-in-law that is still there with him. They all live close next to each other. And then he has a wife who's passed away, Hui. And then we also learned that he was a fighter against communists at one point in time, which we get to see possible little bits of toward the end of the film, possibly. But I almost wondered if the Cape Buffalo was supposed to be a symbol of the nation trying to break away and run away from its presumed captives, the communists, and that villager was the communist because they eventually caught up to him and captured them and tied them back up and kept them domesticated as opposed to their brief moment of freedom as they ran away.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the thing is this is
strap yourselves in, folks.
This film, it is a wild ride like that because it is not, like you said, there's no plot and there's no strong narrative to this story. And there's a lot of very long, still, quiet, dialogue-free scenes you could make them represent almost anything that you want to for yourself. And the filmmaker had something that they represented to them. It meant something. If nothing else, they were running out the clock so they could have a feature film. That's a possibility. There are people who have done that, but
there's 30 minutes that could have been trimmed off this film.
This film could have been 30 to 45 minutes shorter because it doesn't. And I guess if you want to take those as meditation time in the scene from a Buddhist perspective, you could meditate inside of that. And what does this mean?
Or fall asleep.
You could do that. But that's a lot of what this, and I very purposely did not do research into what this director feels that the entire movie and the scenes mean to them, because it doesn't matter. I can't have their lived experience. It won't matter to me. This could be like a Matthew Barney thing where it's like a guy sitting in the back of a 66 Mustang rubbing Vaseline on a thread that goes across from the front seat to the back seat is meant to represent some sexual revitalization in a teenage boy. And it's like, Matthew Barney, how the fuck did you get all of that from some dude wrapping Vaseline on threads in a car? And it's like anybody could make shit up. And if you have to make a primer for your movie, then I probably don't want to fucking watch your movie.
This is the same guy who did the molecules and the arrangement of the X chromosome.
Yeah, exactly. The grapes rolling out of a cup on a shoe represents how the chromosomes, and how during sexual reproduction go.
Oh boy.
Yeah, Matthew Barney, to have your money and burn it in films like this.
But he made a film.
He's made like 8 or 9 films. Matthew Barney's made the whole Cremaster 5 series. There's the River of Fundament. Like, the guy's had money to burn all over the place. He's literally, there's in one of his films, I think it's Cremaster 3 or Cremaster 4. He's got an entire series where he is dressed up with like goat prosthetics on his face, and he's crawling through a kid's it's a kid's play structure in a park.
Oh boy.
But it's kind of like a tube, but it's an irregular tube of different chambers and different moves and stuff, so you can crawl through this thing. But he has a theme. The entire inside of this thing is coated with Vaseline. So he is like a goat man crawling through this Vaseline covered play structure. And it's just, and he's like, that means something to him. Check out page 72 of my primer of why Vaseline covered play structures are representative of this thing. So that's Matthew Barney, and we're on to this discussion now. So
I hope he didn't win any cans. Oh boy.
Who knows? He's got his money, but so that's so I didn't do a deep dive into the director's explanation on why all of this means something, because it's not going to mean the same thing to me.
No, and I think that's some of the things we talked about when you and I were watching this film together, is that there are things that we're not going to understand or interpret properly because it is not our culture. But I feel like that's where this is drawing from to create this like you said, meditation, and that kind of struck me because I feel like this almost is that meditation of when you if you get to have the knowledge of your passing that you're going to pass. Some people it comes as a surprise, but some people get to live out the end of their days. And having that meditation and being able to have that reflection I feel like this is a very Buddhist statement in this film, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an interesting film to watch. This is definitely not a film that I would necessarily watch again after now having gone through it, but it definitely feels like it's trying to be his exploration of.
Yeah, I mean, now that I'm thinking about it more, like there are these moments, some highlights. I don't want to get too far in the story, but there seems to be like there's a dinner that happens. They're sitting down as a family to have a meal together, and the ghost of his dead wife appears. Like she kind of materializes, or
Totally unprompted.
She just
appears.
And they don't even. But the son does get up and kind of go, "Whoa!" Like, but at first, like people are like, "Hugh, are you okay?" Or "Hui, are you okay?" And she's. What I loved about her acting is that she was probably. I don't know if this was like intentional or if if this was. Just that she was a first-time actor or whatever, but she played that role so monotonely, like that sounded like a dead person. Like the way she was like, "Yes, I'm fine," and then, but they're not like, "Why are you here?" They're not like super shocked. I mean, the son is a little bit, but then he kind of sits back down and starts eating dinner with them, and then a second guest arrives at dinner.
Right.
Oh boy. So remember I was talking about that image of like the black figure with like the red eyes?
Yeah, that's Boon Song.
That's Boon Song. Well, and you probably understand. You seem to get more of a grasp of this with the monkey people thing. I was like, it's Chewbacca. It's evil Chewbacca. It's Sith Chewbacca.
Yeah. Well, so what had happened is the mom died, and in his grief, 3 years later, he wandered out into the woods.
Right.
But now we start to get into that. He's a photographer, and he was taking pictures, and he came across these like almost like Bigfoot images, and it looks like large monkeys of some sort, these large images that are jumping in the trees. So he tries to get to that, and in his story, he ends up falling in love with the ghost of a monkey woman.
That's right.
And
they're ghost monkeys.
Yes, he says, the ghost monkey spirit. And so that's when he decides to commit himself to the monkey man spirit of the forest. He commits himself to it, and
animism.
Exactly, the animism. And so he essentially grows hair across all of his body and becomes kind of a Sasquatch.
Scary red eyes.
Yeah. So that's since we're there, that is an image that is so good. I remember seeing that in images from the film and little trailers where they would see it, because when we first see that with the Cape Buffalo in there, it is literally a featureless, dark character with these red eyes moving through there, and it's like, wow, what is this? This is amazing. And
but it's also probably people like thinking that's what they saw. Like if you think about it,
for sure,
it has to be like Will o' the Wisp, where those come from, like Foxfire, all that stuff.
Yeah,
that's maybe this is a type of that.
It's a spirit. Yeah. It's an and you nailed it. It's an animistic spirit of the forest. When that creature, that character Boon Song, it comes and joins them at their dinner table in our film, and they're coming up the stairs, it's that same kind of featureless character with the red glowing eyes. It's amazing until it sits down and joins them.
Yeah.
And then that's when we get the person in kind of a prosthetic Sasquatch suit with the face cut out of it.
Wild looking. He kind of looked like those famous Ringling Brothers werewolf boys.
Right.
He totally looked like that.
Yeah.
Except with scary red eyes.
Yeah.
Which, those contacts look painful. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I know it's 2010 and like contacts are great by then, but they just looked like he looked irritated the whole time.
Yeah.
But he also, again, like Hui, he played it very monotonely. There was no like rise and fall, like like everybody's speaking Thai,
matter-of-factly.
but like they're like tonally, he's just like telling his story. And when I met the monkey woman and fell in love, and it's like
Right.
very like that tone is just completely like flat, just like Hui. But Hui doesn't make much eye contact. She's kind of like this the whole time.
You pointed that out. That was really great.
I thought that
as
was
a
really
ghost,
cool.
she makes no eye contact. Yeah.
She does later at one point, but it's not like direct.
Yeah.
It's like indirect eye contact. She doesn't seem to be like looking somebody in the face or like looking intently.
Yeah.
Seems to be like very just kind of withdrawn and drawn. But I mean, that's what you would expect if you're gonna. I mean, you would expect a ghost to be like that.
Yeah.
And the story isn't linear, right? Like, so there's not like this is what happens and this is what carries on to the next thing. We are literally drawing from our imaginations for this one, because there are these moments of where we are, I guess they're like, I can't decide if they're tales or are they recalling past lives.
Right.
There's this fucking phenomenal one that I was just howling at. And it's like this, okay, so here we are, we're in the forest, and like we see this perspective of like a lace veil and a like several men carrying a woman in a like, what are those called?
Yeah, I don't know the specific name, but it's like a human drawn carriage.
Yeah, they're carrying her in a little
it.
carriage thing, and it's covered in like veils and things like that. And we kind of ascertain that she's like a disfigured princess. She is kind of reaches out her hand out of the veil and like strokes the head of one of the serving guys, and he kind of looks back at her. And then we kind of cut to where they're at the edges of the shore of a waterfall. By the way, Martin pointed this out to me while we were watching this, because I was like, wow, why does that look so crazy? Because everything's shot in daylight and they night filter it.
Yeah, they turned all the exposure down to make it look like it's evening, but it's shot so they're in the shade of the trees, but then the waterfall is in broad daylight and it's overexposed on whatever it is, either the film or digitally. So there's a lot of information that's lost in the overexposure, and then when they brought everything down to decrease the exposure to get that night feel, it gets this really odd, ethereal, waterfall effect. It's very odd.
Yeah.
I mean, I could very much assume that was something where they were like, oh, that's cool, we're keeping that in there. Maybe it was intentional, or maybe they're like, how do we fix it? Because it's all blown out. Oh, we'll make it evening.
It's wild looking. And it creates this just bizarre, like, kind of dreamy, like, quality to it. But anyways, story folds is like, and again, like I said, this is not linear like storytelling. We're not actually being given this information. This is totally ascertained from like what we're looking at. She tries to make out with the serving guy. He kind of spurns her, and he sees her reflection in the water, and that's what he's kind of like, the serving guy is like turned on by. But when he pulls back her veil, it shows her face being like completely messed up, and this is kind of a cool like prosthetic effect on her, and he spurns her and runs away. But while she's standing there crying, and she starts singing, and this again is like one of the first music we really kind of hear in this whole movie. Like, it is mostly crickets, like, and that's about what we hear the whole time throughout the entire film. But she's sitting by the riverbanks crying and like looking at her reflection, and then this catfish starts talking to her.
It's in the reflecting pool.
But he is the one who created the reflection of her looking like perfect.
Yeah.
And he is like, but I still see you that way. And she's all like, oh, catfish. And I'm not
Why
certain.
can I not find men like you with
Right.
this same idea? Yeah.
And then she goes into the water to be with the catfish, And basically,
yeah, and she's dropping all of her jewelry because she's very adorned, and
Yeah,
she
she is
says, "I
dripping.
want you to see me as I would be without all of this."
yes, and she's like pulling off her veils and her like all of her drip, and then the catfish eats her out.
This is not where the idea of being catfished actually made it into our social lexicon. This is a different kind of catfishing. Woo! What we saw,
Like
and
a long scene for what it's worth.
Yeah.
Like of being like the camera shoots down to like a catfish like flipping between her legs, and she's
Yeah.
like convulsing.
yeah, she lays herself
In the
out
water.
in the
Woo,
water.
ma'am.
She gives herself over, and I didn't know what was going to come about from that. And then when it was literally happening, and you had to say that's what it is, and it was like my brain didn't want to
He was all like,
admit that
no!
what I
And I'm
that
like,
can't be.
That
nope,
is happening.
Nope, that is
This
totally happening right now.
She is getting head. Woo, from a
Yeah.
catfish. Ah, good gravy,
Yeah.
ma'am. I was howling. So in reflection of that, now that I'm more mature, one day later,
Yeah.
I think that he was the catfish.
You think who was the catfish?
Boon Me.
Oh, you think that was a past life and he was the
Definitely.
catfish?
Definitely.
Was that the princess? Was that a past life of Hui?
Maybe. I don't think it was important to be being her, but because this is his recollections of his past life, perspective-wise, either he is the princess or he is the catfish.
Well, what if he was the rejected hen?
Well, we wouldn't have got to see that perspective then, because
I
we're
don't
only
know.
seeing
You
the
can have any perspective
well,
on that.
we're seeing the perspective from his
For sure.
past life. So
Right.
at least this is my interpretation.
Maybe
now.
he's the
I'm gonna-
princess.
So this is one day.
Why
one
isn't
day
he
old.
the princess?
Well, I'm saying he could be either the princess or he could be the catfish.
Yeah.
Because either one, we're seeing the perspective of the other
Right.
one of those characters.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know. And that is the thing is there is no segue into this. There is
Yeah.
nothing that gets us into the story. Suddenly we are in the jungle and we're literally like in a static shot
Well,
and eventually
We're like, what is happening?
right. And then eventually that carriage comes through with all these guys carrying her. And it took us a little while
We're
to
like,
actually
is somebody
figure
getting a
out,
bride?
like,
Because we knew that like there was a scenario
Right.
where they were talking about the sun
That's right.
registering to
Yeah.
get there's a few discourse about like the Laos and like Laotian people and like Thai people. And I know there's like some racism there, but like we're not going to get into that because
I don't
know.
understand the dynamic
We
and
don't know
know it,
anything
so I
about
wouldn't
that.
be able to. Yeah.
Right. So there is that. And then there's some of that discussion happens earlier on when at dinner before the ghosts arrive. But there was a point on the topic where they had said that he was registering to get a wife or something
Yes.
like that. So we were like, he's getting a wife.
Right. And he
That-
was having to
that's-
travel to the city for that too.
We
And
just
that was when
assumed that they were traveling to meet each other.
yeah, absolutely.
And then, well, boy,
Yeah.
catfish.
And the thing is, so the
It's like
catfish
the story of
and,
but Thai.
and and there's also we have our one catfish that is communicating with her and then is satisfying her. But there's other catfish that are in the pool because we end up plunging into the pool and we see, even though she's already dropped them, we get to see, I guess maybe it's her jewelry kind of in the churn is being tossed around. And then we get to see all the other catfish. So there's spectators in there as well as our one catfish.
All these actual
the
catfish are all
deed.
like, Jesus, what's happening?
So the catfish that are in the pool are actually the reincarnated spirits of all of the people of Lago from High Plains Drifter who are spectators watching all of this happening and not actually engaging in it. This, not knowing it, we have tied.
No.
They brought these films together. Maybe not.
I hope people are watching the episodes one after the other because they're going to be like, what are you guys talking about?
Yeah, if you
Our
didn't
last
watch it,
episode
yeah.
was High Plains Drifter.
Go watch our High Plains Drifter episode. It was an
Yeah.
excellent one. I've connected them. It's one universe.
Well-
This is the Clint Eastwood.
If you want to really connect it, you can talk about the caves and then the caves being the same caves.
It's altered
that they-
states.
Ah,
It's in the
see?
same universe. It's all in the same universe. Because it's
Stop.
true, because
Stop.
they go into a caves and have a whole trippy, weird, long.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Yeah.
That's like the third act right there.
That's definitely the end. Yeah. Well, it lasts long enough. It's like 3 third acts. Holy cow.
Boy.
Yeah.
And lots of shifts there.
Yeah.
So after that, there is, and then
There is no segue. You
there's
can
no
literally
segue.
go to whatever you want. We're just back out.
We're back at the tamarind farm.
Yeah.
And like the sister is he's kind of setting her up, right? He is setting the sister up for success, for like to take over his tamarind farm.
Right, yeah, Jen.
Because knowing that he's dying, and she's like, I don't want this. I don't want to be in charge of this. And he's like, this is what's happening. And whether you like it or not, death is happening.
Yeah. Yeah, and
And-
everyone's very accepting of his death.
Yeah,
especially Boon Me.
nobody seems to be like, oh no, don't go. But
Yeah,
it's
don't
like,
say you're gonna die.
yeah, no.
It's-
But I think that's part of the whole Thai like Buddhism thing. Is like he's like, oh, I'm just gonna reincarnate.
Oh, okay.
And that's why he's trying
That-
to set
that
up
makes sense.
things for like good, for doing the good karmic cycle is
Mm-hmm.
like making sure that everybody's looked out for and making sure that everybody's like set up and
Mm-hmm.
whatnot. I think that's what is what's happening there, and that we keep getting these reflections, and then there's that scenes of like photographs that are happening with weird sound effects.
Yeah.
That I did not understand because there was like literally a gorilla suit with a noose around it.
Right.
But not like they're like, oh, we couldn't do that like monkey effect anymore. Not in that vein. It's like literally
Right.
a fucking gorilla suit with
Yeah.
a.
It has a little PP on it too.
Yeah, it did. That
It was really weird. I was like,
I didn't
wow.
notice that at first. Thank you. I was like, oh, okay, that's weird. It's just
It
weird.
was weird.
And they were dressed as soldiers, but then there's the not soldiers in the other photographs. It's so strange.
It is weird. Well, because at first when we see the person in the gorilla suit, they're dragging them along. It's as if they have a captive. Like they either
but everybody's smiling.
Right. Well, and that's the bizarre thing is everybody's smiling, but who knows with the person in the monkey suit? They're not trying to make that be something else. So I
Yeah.
was like, was this a person in a monkey suit that was trying to do something and scare them? Like they were trying to be a boogeyman of the forest because of the animistic mythology that they have? Or were they humiliating a person by putting them in a monkey suit and parading them around and doing that? But then as the photographs progress, the person's got their arm around them.
Yeah,
They're
so
taking
it's
fun
like I think they were doing
pictures.
something funny.
Yeah.
Like they were like having a good time. I don't know.
Right. And again, back with the Cape Buffalo thing, it's like, is this them because he talked about how he had been a part of killing thousands of communists and they were fighting them off? So now is this a flashback to his life? And then the progression is them all accepting their place with the new people who have come into the country? Or yeah, I don't know what it means. It doesn't make a lot of sense. And the fact that it's a gorilla, like gorillas are only endemic to very particular places in Africa. They are not anywhere near that continent. So I don't
we're not in
understand the
Thailand.
relevance of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Eh.
It's very interesting. It's all
I think
crazy
this is
symbolism.
what is it? What is the adage? Mileage may vary.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, objects in mirror are closer than they appear.
Yeah.
You got to read all the subtitle-y things of others. Yeah, there's it. I'm sure it all means something to someone, but it's you've made really good points several times, both when we were watching it and in this, that there's a lot of cultural aspects of this that are just things that I'm not going to get. So while I have some levity about this film and fun moments, I don't want it to be that I'm also in turn making fun of this, because
No.
it is a film. It's a film that they did. It was an important film for them. And while I may not get it, I'm mostly laughing at my not being able to understand things and not the aspects of the film. The film is intentional.
But also too long.
And it is.
It is
for me.
Budget is
Absolutely.
gigantic for what you got.
This had a $700,000 budget. And
That is an issue
I
for me.
would have never guessed that. I would have thought that this film had like a $150,000 budget.
That's what it looks like.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing. And in 2010, $700,000. So if I put this into perspective, I remember a film that I love, Safety Not Guaranteed. I love that film. It's an Audrey Plaza film. I revisit that film all the time. I adore it. I actually look up to that film as how you can make a low budget indie film and pull something off. It has Mark Duplass in it, who is really great. That film was made for $450,000. How they pulled it off for that budget, I have no idea. And mostly at that time, Mark Duplass was kind of a low budget mumblecore guy who's super talented, but like he was just making stuff and into it. I think Audrey Plaza might have been trying to really break out of her place as being recognized. Well, I don't think she was quite in. She might have been in Parks and Recreation at the time. I forget the years of Parks and Rec, but you know, she's great. She's awesome in almost everything she does. So it's a very well-made, low-budget film. And so then I look at this other one that's nearly double that. That's mostly just locked off still shots of people
That's the
not
other
talking
thing about this. Is there's
for a long time.
for me that would have made it like a better film. Oh God, I hate to say that term, but I think that like the cinematography is like.
There is no cinematography
I mean,
in this at all.
This looks like I shot it.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, like is like you said, locked shots. Everything is like boom, face on. There is no like artistic interpretation at all. Like nothing is like a side angle. There are artistic moments, like the moment where Jen is sleeping and Huan Hui is watching her sleep and then fades out. Like beautiful.
Yeah.
Those shots were gorgeous. I don't know how that's done or whatever. And it's probably like some kind of composite. I don't know. 2010, this is digital, so probably digitally removed.
Digitally, it's not hard to do.
Yeah. So those effects really cool, artistic in my opinion, but they're for the most part which is probably what makes it very a sleepy movie for me, is that it's very like still and quiet and again meditative.
If we analyze this section of the film, it's interesting because we've got Jen, who has a disability. She has one leg that's shorter than the other. She has a shoe that she wears all of the time, and then she walks with a cane. But she's still alive. She's the sister, and she's there living with Boon Me, and Hui is back. So, yay, Hui's back. And I think Hui had been gone for 19 years. Is that how long she had been passed away? So a long time they've lived without her, and now here is her ghost. So we have this moment where Jen is in bed asleep, and Hui is looking over her. But in the real world now, for whatever the afterlife is.
She's able to interact with them now. Like, but I think that might be kind of a hearkening to the fact that he's dying, and so there is the veil between worlds is kind of opening up a lot, and so like
there's literally a veil on the bed, and there's a veil between the two of them.
And also like when Hui is like helping him with his dialysis or whatever.
Right, yeah, his kidney port.
Yeah, so she's helping him with that, and but she's physically interacting it. But I did notice that she only physically touches Boon Me.
Yes.
So maybe because he is at the end of his life cycle, that she is able to have that like the physical is able to connect.
Right. Well,
that's again, mileage may vary.
And it could be, and I'm thinking more of when Hui is there with Jen's asleep and Hui is watching her and she fades out, but we spend a long time. Like we start out, there's an initial shot of Jen being in bed, and we're actually right up against the bug netting, the veil, but we're right up against the bug netting of the bed. It adds this kind of interesting, kind of angelic look to the lens and all that as we're looking, which could be like a POV shot from Hui's point of view. Then we pull out. We spend so much time just sitting there, Nothing happens. And she
And the
slowly fades
conversations
out.
are very mundane.
Yeah.
They're so mundane.
Yeah.
Like they're talking about like don't step on those bugs. Like I mean because they're Buddhists, you don't step on bugs. Yeah. But they it's just and like Jen was doing it intentionally, like stepping on bugs, and like Boon was like, don't do that.
Yeah. Yeah, they're beneficial.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were beneficial to things. So
And yeah, but for the most part, the conversations were very very mundane, and everybody's very soft spoken in this film. Gosh, let's see. The photographs happened, the carp happened, or not carp, but
the catfish.
catfish.
Yeah. I don't even remember the full order of all of that because
Yeah.
it seems like the photograph section happens once they've gone to the cave, I think, as he's starting to die.
Yes.
Yeah.
So let's go to the cave.
Yeah.
Are we there yet? Are we ready for
We
that?
can be there anytime
All right.
we want to.
So we take a journey with our
A very long journey through the forest to the
passing
cave.
all the those monkey ghosts. There's like a bunch of them in the forest.
Yeah.
And they kind of remind me of a little bit, and like in a spirited way a little bit, or like Mononoke, like those like things that like tilt their heads, the little forest sprites.
Yeah.
They have that kind of vibe because they're just watching. They're not malevolent. That's the other thing, is that nothing in this film has a malevolence to it. It's all very like,
there's no antagonism whatsoever. It's literally just a person contemplating a couple of moments in their life.
even the like catfish sex scene, like that is not even like a high. I mean, it's a high emotional scene, but for the way it's played out, it's played very like.
Yeah, it's the highest emotional scene that there is, and it's really not which was actually kind of what I was saying, what was wanting to get to with Hui there at the bed next to Jen. There's a moment of emotion there. Somebody could have emotion, or I don't know. I guess I wanted to have like some camera angles or something that was more than just this wide static shot that just went on for a long time that literally nothing happened.
Right.
And even though Hui fades out, Hui is not gone because Hui is with them the rest of the time. Hui goes with them to the cave now that we're going through the forest in the cave. Hui actually touches the trees as they're going through, and she's walking. And this is physically it's a real physical person who's having to play a ghost, so I get it. They're having to hold their balance and whatnot. But it was a thing that I had noticed, that it's like, oh yeah, she hasn't interacted with anything other than Boon Me, and now being able to touch a tree as they're walking through the forest. Does that mean anything, or is this just...
We're getting to the end of his life.
Yeah.
And when we enter the cave, he says, this place feels like a womb to me. Mm-hmm. And he says, I was born here. And I'm like, were you? I mean, you might have. I find
and it's never talked about ever again.
No.
It's not explored in any way.
No.
We have no idea what happened.
How the heck did they get his body out?
No idea. Maybe they don't.
Well, but they're at the Watt having the funeral. He's in the urn, isn't he?
I don't know. Is he? I mean, he could be. Most of what I remember from the Watt was Tong's transition into his time to be a monk.
Yeah. Well, and you also noticed that they were like the neon lights are just like they were in Boxer's Open.
Yeah, it was. It was just like Dr. Zoma. I'm learning a little bit, and you're kind of helping me out with that. I didn't realize that being a monk was a thing that had to be.
Yeah. So the one thing I do know about Thai culture is that one of the things that if your family is Buddhist and the first son, after the parent, either the mother or the father passes, is supposed to become a monk. It's kind of like I don't know. I think they can choose whether or not they want to become like a long-term monk, but I think that this is like for the purpose of the funeral, they have to undergo like that karmic cleansing and become like a monk for the time period.
So it's a very ceremonial piece for the family.
Right.
In
Kind of like in
and
Judaism, like the shomer watches the body for the 3 days before the funeral. Like that's that kind of like
I didn't know that was a thing.
Oh yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yes.
I did not know. Yep. So that's
Fantastic horror film about it called The Visit or The Vigil.
cool. Oh, I haven't watched that. I'll have to
yeah.
watch that one.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Okay. Another one for the list.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. The Cave is an interesting one because it's a very long journey through the woods. It's a very long
Very
journey through the
glittery
cave. Yeah. The cave of minerals. I thought it was a cave of glowworms at first, but then I was realizing there's no filaments hanging down off of them, which
Yeah.
is usually the thing that glows to attract bugs to them, and they'll catch them and eat them that way. But it's actually just minerals inside of there with their flashlight
Yeah.
glowing off of all of that stuff. Cool. We spent a lot of time with it, and you could make it represent anything that you wanted to.
Absolutely. This is the transition from life into death. This is the reflection of our lives. This is, I mean, seriously, it has so many meanings.
Committing
Caves-
ourselves to the universe
right,
in some
and caves
deistic
are
way.
like caves are like underworlds. This is our entrance to the underworld. There's so many things.
Oh yeah,
that
I
could
didn't
be.
even
Yeah.
think of that. That was a pretty
yeah.
obvious one. I should have. Yeah, I didn't make
That's
that
low
connection.
hanging fruit.
It is low hanging fruit. I might have started to take a nap. I don't remember. No, I was quite awake for all of this. But that one did not hit me. That one was pretty obvious. Yep.
But he passes here.
He does. And, we've kind of mentioned a few times, we had said that he is dying of kidney cancer, and he's got his kidney port, and he's constantly having to flush out his system. And it's
yeah.
interesting that his death with this one,
They open up the port.
they open up the port and they just literally dump his fluid out into the cave. He just drains out.
Kind of like Dune. Like your heart port.
Yeah. Yeah. This is his end. It's not the end of the film, and it is
No.
not the end of the existential workings of this film.
So
It just gets weird from here, actually.
and then this is like, I think we're like, what, our third act now, right? Like,
It could be. Well,
I don't know, man.
so you said that it was the
But
third act, and I agreed with you. And then about
Like-
2 sentences later, I was like, oh,
Wait.
there's that whole strung out part that's after being in the Watt, where they're in the room and then the restaurant
karaoke joint.
And the karaoke,
Yeah.
that goes on for like another 20 minutes after
Oh, yeah.
that. So I don't know where the break is for
And
this thing.
so that's kind of funny, is like we do the Wat, they have like a Buddhist funeral, and like everybody's chanting and doing the I'm not sure what sutra,
It's a ceremony of some
sutra
kind, yes.
chant that you do for the dead. And the son is the son is enacting, and
yeah.
he's in the front doing all the main representation of the family, and the aunt and the mysterious other young lady we never get introduced to is right next to her.
All of a sudden, we have a new character that's been introduced in the third act. We have no idea. We're never introduced to her. She's
this is a
just
non-linear
there.
film, so having acts in and of itself, we're producing this ourselves. We're creating this act. Our discussion is, but there's no set. Like it's not. It's really not structured at all.
We never know who this person is. We're never given a name or who they are. They're just
sitting on
there.
going through the thank you the grievances cards, and
Yeah.
because people always give money at Thai funerals, and there's like collecting money through the cards and writing down the names like you would like at a bridal shower for gifts, or wedding shower for gifts, that kind of thing. Yeah, and. The son, Tong, comes into the room and asks to take a shower, and they're like, "Oh no, we shouldn't even be interacting with us," and
Right.
because monks are not allowed to touch women or like be alone with them. That's a thing.
But they did comment that he should only have to wait a little bit longer. It would
Right.
be done, but it kind of feels like he's
He's
done
like
with
he's
already.
over it. He's
Yeah.
like, I'm just gonna do my thing. So
Yeah.
he's like takes a shower and gets changed in regular clothes, and the three of them sit down on the edge of the bed and watch TV. And we're watching, I want to say what's happening at the time is I think I remember hearing about there was like a huge coup with the royalty in Thailand at the time, but they're watching some huge event happening on the television. And then the son Tong is talking to Jen, and they decide that they're going to go to eat dinner, and they ask the girl if she wants to go, and she's like, no. And then the two of them get up, but then the camera turns back, and they're still sitting on the bed, and the two of them are standing on the side, and they leave and go to the
They
restaurant.
watch themselves. Yeah, all of a sudden they're like, oh.
But they're not
But they don't
reacting.
question it.
They're not surprised.
Yeah. Well, there's a little bit. Tong does a little bit. He's surprised by seeing it. Like he goes, oh, we're still sitting there. But then that's it.
But they're not like,
It doesn't go
they're
beyond
not
that.
shocked by that. And
No.
they just go down to the karaoke joint and order food and chill out downstairs. But it's also very quiet. Like the karaoke music's playing and they're like looking at each other. And then the camera we flash back to them still sitting in the hotel room. And the girl has fallen asleep. But the two of them are just sitting there motionless, like looking at the...
And there's no existential other version of this new character that we got. We have Jen and we have Tong. They have both split somehow. A version of them is watching the TV and a version of them goes to the karaoke bar, but there's no second version of that new person that we were just introduced to. So I don't know who they are.
I feel like
why.
this was supposed to be like kind of a play on how you feel like when you lose someone like that, like losing a family member and like that grief, that kind of out of body grief that you have. And I feel like even though nobody was overly emotional at any point in this film, like I feel like that was that moment of like coming to terms with it and that despair that it brings by losing someone you love.
Yeah. Interesting.
Because it has that kind of quality.
Yeah.
That gray, that like because when they're at the restaurant, they're just looking at each other.
Yeah, while karaoke music and a KJ is playing, nobody's actually singing. It's just playing the music itself.
And they're singing in the songs, but like,
we don't see a person.
We don't see a person.
Yeah, I
strange.
struggled to find relevance to that. Like
I just
couldn't
think
make
that was just like grief setting in.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the song has some meaning and we don't know.
True, because that was a Thai song.
Yeah.
Yeah. By then I was out of answers. I'm sorry. Doesn't mean that they aren't there, but I was struggling at that point in time for myself.
Yeah.
On what it could all mean.
What does it mean? It's a double rainbow.
Yeah, exactly.
It is a double rainbow in a lot of ways.
So this was an interesting film. This is an interesting experiment. I'm very glad that we did it. I don't think I'm going to be nearly as experimental in the future with such things, or maybe I will check it out before and not just go into it blind. This is a fun thing to do from time to time like this too, but at the same time, it's just not a thing that's necessarily meant for me. And I love the art of film, obviously, and I am a filmmaker and I make films. And from where we are right now, in 2 weeks, I shoot a film. But film, I like ideas of existentialism and exploration, but I'm not necessarily that person that likes the dead silence of imagery that requires a primer, or you can make it into whatever you want. Because I think people are going to make it into whatever they want anyway. When people read a book or watch a movie, listen to music, all of those things represent things that are specific to them. They get their take out of it. But this isn't necessarily, like, this just isn't made for me. That doesn't make it bad at all in any way. But this style of filmmaking isn't necessarily a film made for me.
I would agree with that sentiment. I mean, I felt like this film was beautiful in a painting way, and I think I said this in A Promising Young Woman, like film is art and art is meant to make you feel something. And for me, it wasn't evocative enough of for me to have a strong reaction, but I do think this was a beautiful meditation on the Buddhist viewpoint of a life-death cycle.
I accept that.
Yeah.
I could take that.
Yeah. I thought it was beautiful. And I really like the image of the ghost monkeys with the red eyes. It reminds me of Amityville Horror a little bit.
I was going to say that back when we were talking about it, actually, because I would have been completely satisfied when we get to Boon Song being at the table.
Yeah.
I wish that had just been that void character with the glowing eyes.
Yeah.
Because that's an effect. That's a post effect somehow that they did. I'm sure that was part of their budget.
Yeah.
And it may not have been the strongest a visual effect once that character was sitting at the table. It might have given a little bit away because we're closer to it and it's around those other people. But I would have accepted that more than the guy that was in that suit.
It did make it almost comical.
It very much took me out of it. And I would have been totally happy to see that thing without human eyes, with just those glowing red eyes that they had, and not have a mouth or anything else talking. That void of a character talking would have been great.
It also reminds me, there wasn't like a Bashki film, or like, was that like Heavy Metal that had that, like a monster that looked like that?
There could have been.
Oh God, I don't know. I mean, my brain is like mush.
Bakshi could have had something like that. There wasn't anything in, I remember there was Wizards back then, but I don't think Wizards had a character like that. That was a crazy film, Wizards. Yeah. That one. Well, I'll tell you, there were the ring wraiths that they did when they did the first Lord of the Rings, then they did the Fellowship, because that was meant to be a trilogy. They only ever got Fellowship out. Then the Return of the King was then done by the folks who did the musical Hobbit one. But there was that Bakshi attempt at Lord of the Rings, and that's probably what I'm thinking of.
Is that what those
ring
look
wraiths.
like? Because I love ring wraiths. They're my favorite.
I think I would have to go back and that's what comes to mind is those ring wraiths from the Bakshi version. Okay.
Yeah, I'm buying
in their
that.
day before they did American Pop.
So wild.
Yeah, crazy. They were doing Rankin and Bask. That's the first. Those are the folks that did the that musical Hobbit-y job.
There's a whip. There's a way.
I think that's the folks. So as we start to build out an audience here, people will write in the comments and they'll let me know that I'm wrong, which is great because then we'll know that we have engagement. So by all means, let me know that I got it wrong. I don't always remember all of them. Yeah. So, well, I very much appreciate you watching this film with me and talking about it and kind of exploring some art world aspects of things.
Yes.
Yeah. And I love watching movies with you. This is pretty great. Even just on our way over to record this today, we were talking about watching movies. So it's such a big deal for us.
Well, and I have our next pick.
You do? I don't know what it's going to be. So what's our next film?
Exorcist 3.
Exorcist. Oh, yes, I did know that was going to be on the list sometime. I'm so excited about that one.
Me too.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about, there are a couple of cuts of this film. Mm-hmm. So we're going to watch the Legion cut and the theatrical cut and have a discussion about how that played out.
Yeah.
Jason Miller and it's going to be...
That's awesome.
It's going to be fun.
I don't think I've seen the Legion cut. I think I saw the theatrical cut. Yeah. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah, I am excited to share this one. It is, honestly, this would be my... whenever anyone says, what's your favorite film? And Exorcist 3. I can watch this film so many times and still feel something with it. And it is one of my favorites.
Nice.
Personally.
Well, I'm excited to do that. And as always, Gretchen, thank you so very much.
Yeah.
And I will see you on the next episode.
Bye.
See ya.